Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Peter's Precious. Let's talk mental health. Today we're going to be talking about shame. Yeah, shame is the topic for today. So we're going to be talking about shame. So what is shame? Shame. Shame. So what is shame? Shame is the feeling of like embarrassment, of course. Yeah. So it's the feeling of embarrassment or humiliation that arises from the perception of like having done something dishonorable or like immoral or like improper in that sense. So it's like the feeling of humiliation and embarrassment that comes with having done something wrong. So I'm going to say something about shame, which is very surprising, but I've read over time that shame is a negative emotion in that sense. We all know shame is a negative emotion. Yeah, we all know that. So shame is a negative emotion, but logically speaking, it has been said that shame as like shame itself plays a part in human survival, because as humans it plays a role in our survival as species. Because if we think about it, if there's no shame attached to a negative behavior of a particular thing, you discover people will not want to follow the norms of the society. People will not want to follow laws of the land. So because there's a shame attached to that, in that sense, like the stigma or the humiliation that comes with doing something wrong or disobeying the laws of the land, it makes people to like follow the laws and follow the rules, which is kind of like a good thing because everybody becomes law abiding in that sense. So though it's a negative emotions, but at times it brings out positive outcomes in people, like human beings, that human beings are special people. So yes, it brings out some positive response and it allows us to exist as social beings. As humans, we all want to be accepted, be it in a social group. We have social group like in church and mosques, in a family, between a small circle of friends, in your workplace. We all want to be accepted, logically speaking. So shame is an evolutionary tool that actually keeps us in check in that sense. So I discovered that there are categories of shame behavior. Surprising, yes. So I'm going to let you guys know some of that. They said there were 4 categories of shame behavior, according to like, I think it's like Oxford Press, University Press, or something like that. I read it somewhere, which I'm not so sure. I think it was published by them, Book on Shame or something like that. So they said there were 4 categories of shame behavior in that sense. And the first one was like hot response, then behaviors, the second one was like behavior to cope with or like conceal the shame in that sense. And then there was safety behavior to avoid the shame or being discovered, that shame stuff being discovered. And there's a behavior to actually repair shame. So that was the 4 categories I saw that have to do with shame behavior. So now to explain the hot response, now just think about when you do something very shameful. How do you respond to it as an individual? The first thing is to respond impulsively. Like if there's someone else there, you might lash out to the person aggressively and shout on the person, or put anger on the person. But the main reason is not like you're angry with the person in that sense. But the main reason we're doing all those things is kind of like to remove the attention from yourself. So people don't really focus on what you've done, not to dwell on what you've done, like the shameful acts in that sense. So usually like the ultrasound is kind of like an impulsive reaction that happens when we do something that we should be ashamed of. We also have like behaviors to cope with shame, which was the second one, not to conceal the shame. These are the points where people like, you won't maybe if it's in a group, you won't share your opinion to avoid being like in the spotlight, because you like, if I'm in the spotlight at this particular point, people might find out I did this or I did that, then you become the center of attention, and then maybe your what you did that was shameful will be revealed. So it's kind of like self-protection in that sense. Like how do you protect yourself? How do you guide yourself? So that's like behaviors to cope with shame or conceal the shame. Safety behaviors to avoid shame or being discovered, or the shame behavior being discovered. There are a lot of times when you discover that it's like they will catch me, then you just go ahead straight ahead. You see a lot of people apologizing that, oh yes, I did this particular thing wrong, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it, and all that. Apology comes into play. Some people are like that have eye like shame, like they get really like teary, they tend to cry, because and some people just avoid conflicts in general, like just avoid everybody, ghost everybody. So like there are all safety behaviors to avoid being shamed or being discovered. Just apologize, try to avoid conflict as much as possible. and engage in safety behaviors like to calm everybody down, being emotional and all that. So that's also a safety behavior that people use to avoid being shamed. The fourth category we have is behaviors to repair shame. Now we can just sit there and think about things we do to repair shame. First of all, you're ashamed because it also has like there's a weight, there's a burden you feel as a person. So what are the behaviors you engage to suit yourself? Is like, okay, maybe you forgot an anniversary or your friend's birthday or your spouse's birthday. You now see people going all out, buying everything because of course theirs passed. But try to relieve their conscience in that sense. And also like, oh, I'm so sorry, I had a lot on my mind. I had issues at work. My supervisor was not being considerate. You see, people tend to bring like excuses, trying to repair the shame so that they can remove that guilt from their mind. I'm just going to briefly talk about types of shame. So the first type of shame I'm going to talk about is the transient shame. And this is the shame that passes real quickly. Maybe in a group, you have a slip of tongue and say something you're not meant to say, and everybody laughs about it, but tells you, oh, what you said was wrong. It's meant to be this. Like, you feel humiliated, but just at that particular point, and it passes quickly. It kind of like help you to notify where you're wrong and help you to balance it out. It's like just help you to pay more attention to particular things and all that. So it passes real quickly. Transient shame. Shame we have is chronic shame, and honestly, chronic shame stays with you for a very, very long time, like extremely long period of time. Chronic shame stays with you for a very long period of time, and it makes you feel like you're not good enough. It makes you question your sanity. It makes you question like your functioning, your thinking. It impairs you basically because it's long lasting and stays with you for a very long time. Humiliation is another type of shame, and this happens. Honestly, humiliation is very intense. It's an intense type of shame, and this usually happens like when you're criticized and embarrassed in front of a large number of people, because even if you get over yourself, people won't forget it. It's like something happened and then you get videoed about it and then it's on the internet. Internet never forgets. So in as much as you're fine, you tend to be humiliated about that particular thing because it's something that happened in public. It's a shame that comes from like being critically embarrassed, like stress on critically embarrassed. So yeah, and it usually happen in front of a lot of people. So that's humiliation. Another type of shame we're going to talk about is defeats, of course. Now let's even assume defeats can happen to anybody. You can imagine, okay, maybe I support a particular club and then there's a football match going on and then my team loses after all the things I've bragged about. Of course, that's defeat. I wasn't the one defeated, but my team was. So that's like the shame that comes with it. Is like you see everybody that were all up there with their eyes shoulders, like they just come down and they're all sad. Shame, like all the bragging they've done with their friends and all that. So that's defeat, the shame that comes with being defeated. And like it can happen to anybody in that sense. So there's also shame around strangers. And this is because it reflects a feeling like people around you, people you don't even know, people that don't really know you, we feel like there's something wrong with you. It comes with that mentality that, oh, now they're going to see me in this light. They're going to see me in that light as a person. And usually, shame that comes around with strangers or shame around strangers is usually linked to social anxiety. It has been said to be linked to social anxiety. So that's another type of shame too. Shame around strangers. Honestly speaking, we have various types of shame. We have the performance shame. Maybe you're shy of being in the public, speaking in public speaking. You're conscious of everything. We also have shame in like shame about yourself. Maybe you feel like you're inferior, and maybe something happened and you feel like, oh, I'm inferior to this person, or this person has money more than my parents, or so many things can acquire shame. Maybe you like someone, the person don't like you back. It can lead to shame or embarrassment that, oh, you told somebody you like the person and the person didn't really like you back. It can lead to like the feeling of embarrassment in that sense. So there's so many things, and even shame in front of people. You always feel like, oh, maybe if I'm in front of people, I might do something stupid or I might do something that doesn't really make sense, and they're going to laugh at me, sorry, for a very long period of time. So there are so many types of shame, and there's also called LD shame. And finally, LD shame in that sense can also exist. And this is a shame where shame can be healthy in that sense. When it causes you to have humility. Do you guys get? So it's like allows you to laugh at yourself, make you humble, teach you about boundaries. Like a little shame is important in some activities. It helps you to measure people's behavior. Like, oh, this thing I did was wrong. Oh, I'm not meant to do this. Oh my god. Okay, now I know that. Oh, I don't talk to people this way. I don't just speak when not spoken to. It kind of like teach you about boundaries. So it's kind of like healthy shame in that sense. So yeah, so there's also healthy shame. So the best way to cope with shame is embrace the shame, identify what you did wrong, try to correct your mistakes, and own up to it, accept it. Actually, write it in a journal or however way. Though it's normal to try to put up a defense and whatnot, but try to like learn how to like cope with it. That okay, if it's a particular behavior that I'm doing, that I keep doing, that has put me in this particular point, oh, I'm going to do this to change it, and this is the best way to go about it. And if you need like a therapist to talk to, there are various therapists like you can just check, and people are usually there to help. Thank you so much guys for joining us today. I hope this session was informative enough, and I hope you picked or learned one or two things from it. Please do like, share with friends, subscribe to the channel. See you guys next time. Thank you. Bye.